Welcome back, focused learners. Let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're taking a hard, scientific look at something, well, pretty much all of us do every single day, mindlessly scrolling through short-form video apps. You know the exact feeling, right? You open an app just to check one quick thing and suddenly, bam, an entire hour has vanished. But what's actually happening to your brain, your attention span, and even our broader society during that hour? We're going to dive into the research, from brain chemistry all the way to massive data audits, to reveal the invisible forces pulling the strings behind your screen time.
Just look at this number, 260. According to internal platform documents detailed recently in Psychology Today, that is exactly how many short videos it takes for an app to officially form a habit and hook you. 260. And because these videos are so incredibly brief, hitting that mark takes only about 35 minutes. Yep, in just over half an hour, an app can completely map out your preferences and lock you right into a behavioral loop. So how exactly is that even possible?
Section 1. The dopamine trap and the neurology of the scroll. Okay, let's dive into this and look at the micro level of how these platforms actually hijack the brain's reward system.
To really understand the hook, we've got to talk neurochemistry. Now, your brain normally operates on what we call tonic dopamine. Think of this as your brain's everyday baseline battery. It just keeps you functioning normally day to day. But when you swipe and suddenly see a hilarious or exciting video, your brain gets hit with a massive, sudden lightning bolt of what's called phasic dopamine. These rapid short bursts act as an intense teaching signal, strongly reinforcing that swiping behavior. The app is essentially operating like a slot machine in your pocket, flooding your brain with repeated phasic dopamine spikes every few seconds and creating this relentless cycle of reward.
But here's where the danger creeps in. If you constantly flood your brain like that, you build up dopamine tolerance. Basically, you become way less sensitive to those rewards over time. Researchers actually warn that this overstimulation leads to a state of terminal boredom, where normal everyday life suddenly feels incredibly dull by comparison. And this isn't just about feeling a little bored on a Sunday afternoon. This high tolerance and the neurological crash that follows have actually been linked to higher reported levels of depression among active users of short-form content.
Section 2. The attention cost, from brain to behavior. Let's move to and see how this builds as we zoom out from brain chemistry to how scrolling directly impacts our immediate behavior and attention spans.
Just 5 minutes. A totally fascinating study from San Diego State University used eye tracking technology on college students, and they found that just 5 measly minutes of passive scrolling severely impaired their ability to focus on long-form reading right afterward. I mean, really think about that. Just taking a quick 5-minute phone break between study sessions is actively sabotaging your ability to concentrate on whatever you need to do next.
The reason for this comes down to what researchers call the scan and shift hypothesis. See, when you passively scroll, you're literally conditioning your eyes and your brain for rapid attention shifts. You're training yourself to expect instant gratification. So when you finally try to transition back to sustained reading, like say a textbook or a long news article, the cognitive leap is just too huge. Your eyes naturally want to scan and jump around, which makes it incredibly difficult to actually absorb deep, complex information.
Section 3. Inside the black box. Decoding the algorithm. We're zooming out even further now to the platform architecture itself, introducing some incredible research from the University of Washington.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it breaks down the machine's hidden goals. When a team from UW peered into the algorithm's totally opaque black box, by analyzing over 9 million donated video recommendations, by the way, they found that when you start a new account, the algorithm aggressively balances two distinct things: exploration and exploitation. Looking at the first 1,000 videos you see, between 30 and 50%, we'll just average it to 40% here, is pure exploitation. That means the machine is leveraging exactly what it already knows you like, just to keep your eyes glued to the screen. The rest of it is exploration, basically throwing new spaghetti at the wall to see what else might stick and keep you from getting bored.
But get this, here is a seriously wild piece of data from that same UW study. On average, users only watch 55% of a video to the end, barely half. So, the researchers debated what this actually means. Is the highly tuned algorithm somehow failing to deliver good content? Or, and this is much more likely, is the platform itself simply a machine built for constant, rapid context switching? A place where you just get the gist of a video and immediately crave that next hit.
So, the crucial question is, how are we actually training this machine? You might assume that quickly scrolling past the video tells the algorithm, hey, I hate this. But surprisingly, the data shows that fast scrolling matters far less to the algorithm than your actual engagement. It weighs your interactions incredibly heavily. Let's say you see a video from a friend. You aren't really interested in the video itself, but you leave a like or a quick comment just to be supportive. Well, that engagement heavily shapes your future feed. The algorithm values that interaction way more than your swiping speed.
Section 4. Bubbles and Echo Chambers, Social Realities. Now let's explore how these individual viewing habits scale up to shape entire societal realities and ideological polarization.
You hear these two terms thrown around interchangeably all the time, but there's a distinct scientific difference we need to impartially break down here. A filter bubble is something built entirely by the machine. It's the algorithmic curation systematically limiting your exposure to diverse viewpoints. An echo chamber, on the other hand, that's a social dynamic. It's formed by human confirmation bias, where users actively choose to interact primarily with like-minded people. Both phenomena absolutely exist, and both work together to create some incredibly isolated realities for all of us. A major systematic review published in the journal MDPI looked closely at young users navigating these realities, and the findings are super fascinating. See, young people aren't just passive zombies here. They actually have a partial awareness of how these algorithms work, and many actively try to diversify their feeds by seeking out different content. But their agency is heavily constrained. The architecture of these platforms is so utterly opaque, and the structural drive toward amplified ideological homogeneity is so intensely strong that simply trying to click on different things isn't always enough to break out of the bubble.
Section 5. Escaping the Siren's Song, Reclaiming Agency. And this brilliantly illustrates our final chapter, empowering us to understand how we can actually fight back.
So if the architecture is literally built to trap us, how on earth do we get out? I absolutely love this quote from a Psychology Today article that explores reclaiming our agency using a vivid mythological metaphor. In ancient Greek mythology, the sirens were these creatures who lured sailors to crash their ships by singing irresistible songs. And the secret to their enchantment was that they knew exactly who was on the ship. They sang hyper-personalized content, promising exactly what those specific sailors desired. Odysseus only survived by having his crew literally tie him to the ship's mast so he couldn't act on his impulses. Now, you don't necessarily have to quit your apps cold turkey, but just like Odysseus, you do need a mast to tie yourself to. The research points to some highly effective harm reduction strategies. First, set external timers so you aren't relying on your own warped sense of time while scrolling. Keep a viewing log to confront how much time you're actually spending. Limit the specific devices where these apps are even installed, and above all else, develop algorithmic literacy. You have to understand that what you're seeing isn't an objective reality. It's a prediction machine feeding you 40% exploitation and 60% exploration just to keep your phasic dopamine firing.
We've covered the brain chemistry, the attention deficits, the opaque algorithms, and the societal echo chambers. The data is crystal clear. These platforms are absolutely not neutral. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Armed with all this new knowledge, who is really in control of your worldview the next time you open an app? Are you actively choosing what to see, or are you just blindly following the siren song? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and stay focused out there.